I quit being a nurse and I'm going to tell you why. For some context, my name is Cindy. I've been a nurse for about 5 years. I became a nurse in 2020 and I quit this year and I actually work from home now as data analyst. And I'm going to tell you the exact reasons why I quit and why I'm so much happier now in my new career. The number one reason that I quit is because I hate working with other nurses. I'm not saying all nurses are bad. I just have had my fair share of nurses who were just straight up bullies, made my job miserable, and they were just miserable themselves and just brought the vibe down at work, and it was just such a negative environment to be in. Second biggest reason is because of management. When I tell you I have not had a single decent manager in nursing. These people gaslight you. They don't care about you. They just care about their bonuses and their paycheck. They don't care that you're struggling on the floor. They don't really genuinely care about the patients either. And when your manager doesn't care about a patient, it kind of makes it hard for you to care about your job as well. The third reason is controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. I hate working 312s. Everyone's like, I have 4 days off. Okay, but now I work 5 days a week and I feel like I have more time and more mental space for myself and my friends and my family. When you work those 312s, those 4 days off, you're laying in bed for 2 recovering, you're thinking about coming to work for the next few days, and you have to meal prep, you have to prepare, you have to rest. It makes you not want to do anything because you don't want to be tired and like strain yourself before you go to work. I decided enough was enough. I went back to school, got a certification in data analytics, and now I do work in the healthcare sector doing data analytics. And I couldn't be happier. I have amazing managers. My hours are wonderful. I set my own schedule. I work from home. All over percent. Do not regret leaving nursing.
This is the topic today. Welcome to The Broken Shift. My name is Natalie. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime I upload a new video. I was going through Reddit and TikTok and I'm finding this is a trend. We all know that nurses are leaving, but now they're telling us why. With social media, they're going to tell us exactly why. And it was just really sad because when I went through Reddit, I'm going to read this to you and then we're going to watch a few more of these videos and you're going to see why nurses are leaving. So if you're wondering, now you know. I mean, nurses know why they're leaving. So if anyone that's not a nurse is watching and thinking, why nurses make good money, why are they leaving? Nurses are stressed, as you just heard. But to go back to the subreddit, this is a new grad nurse and she writes, I'm done with nursing. And it was kind of a rant, so bear with me. New grad nurse here, 4.5 months in a tele med surg unit. I'm beyond burned out. And when I read this, I thought she was saying 4 years. It's only been 4.5 months. Working as a nurse, even in this short amount of time, has shown me how immature and childish people really are. I'm talking about patients and their families. Don't get me wrong. I've cared for so many patients who are the sweetest, including their family members. But at the same time, I've cared for so many patients who are straight up rude and have main character syndrome. I've been verbally abused by a patient's unhinged son and got called a terrible nurse just because I hesitated to give an opioid medication because of low blood pressure. I mean, my goodness, this is her doing her job. If someone's blood pressure is low, the last thing you want to do is give an opioid and crash them out. I did not sign up to get emotionally abused by grown-up toddlers. She's ranting for real. Working this job has truly shown me the true nature of humans, self-centered, selfish, and no respect for others. So how are you going to abuse someone who is taking care of you or your family member? It's not my fault they are in the hospital, but somehow I'm the one to blame because they are in pain and the doctor takes 2 hours to respond. It's like we nurses are the punching bags for those Anyway, for those bleeps. Let's just say that. This is just one example of me getting abused. Besides the abuse from patients and families, there's also the workload. I never have time to eat breakfast. I only eat one meal during the days I work, and that's only lunch. Some days I even go without drinking water or even using the restroom. I'm always under constant stress, either from the workload or someone screaming for pain meds every damn minute. And we know that the patients need their medications. She's just stressed. The patient load is just too much to manage. Everyone's pain meds are on a 2 or 4 hour cycle, and it's not all at the same time. So, when you finish giving one patient's meds, it's time. The next bell is ringing, and the other person now wants their meds. And as a nurse, understand also you cannot give those meds before time because you don't want your patients crashing out. So if it says that the med has to be given at 4, you can give it after 4, but you can't give it before 4. Now to continue. I don't know what to do. For some reason, I don't feel emotional about it. I just feel angry at myself for choosing this career. Sometimes I just want to tell rude family members to just shut the F up, but that's a one-way ticket to losing your job. I just can't do this anymore. I'm so sorry for the rant. I just had to get it out of my system and wanted to hear from others if they have had the same experience. I'm not hating on nursing. I still think it's a great career with so many opportunities, but it's not for me. I can't deal with people anymore. Yeah, this is how burnout nurses are. And honestly, you know, she talks about the families and how the families are angry. It's because the patient load is too much for the nurse. So the patients and their families also do not feel that they're getting the care. And that it doesn't help that they're coming in and yelling at the nurse, and the nurse can't do anything about the doctor not calling back for 2 hours. I have called in to get like orders for my patient in the past where I could not get the doctor on the phone. And mind you, I don't know what the doctor's patient load is. It might be very high also because that patient may not be the only patient they're covering for. So that doctor is also returning phone calls from a lot of patients and writing orders. It's a vicious cycle of overworking people and then understaffing and the care just not being delivered in the way that it's meant to be delivered to the patient. You're going to listen to this next nurse now.
I cannot stress enough. I literally cannot even relate to the girl who was in this video anymore. And when I say the girl who was in this video, I'm talking about me. Like, I cannot stress to you guys enough how much of a difference I feel. Like I said, I was literally like contemplating suicide. I had to go out on a stress leave because I was so stressed out. When I tell y'all, your work environment makes a huge difference. Your coworkers make a huge difference. If you're working with people that are team players versus people that will like let you sink and drown, it makes a huge difference. If you're that does not allow you to thrive and is like mentally tearing you down and tearing your body down physically,
that's no joke. If you're working with people who are going to let you drown and sink, this is a toxic environment. And maybe they're letting you drown and sink because they are drowning and sinking. I don't know. But nurses are supposed to help each other. And you will find as we're listening to these nurses that a lot of times that's not what's happening.
You're not going to thrive. It's not going to work. The lack of patient ratios alone in Las Vegas is enough to make you go crazy as a nurse. If you are thinking about quitting nursing, please give California a try. I'm not saying that every hospital out here is rainbow and sunshine, but I am saying that the working conditions out here and the state laws make it so much more tolerable to be a nurse. I literally cannot even relate to me mentally how I feel. And I'm talking about on and off the clock, because your work, since you're there so much, it affects how you feel when you're off of the clock as well. I can't relate. I was so depressed, so anxious, so the list goes on. And when I tell you, I feel so much better now. Like, I mean, granted, I've only been out for 35 minutes, but the fact that I'm even thinking about making this video to let you guys know, I'm telling you, just please.
Obviously, she seems like she's in a much better place right now because she says it's better in California. If you're a nurse in California, drop me a comment. Let me know what the working conditions are out there. I've never worked out in California. When I did travel nursing, I did try to go out to California and work, and it just didn't work out for me. I'd like to know what your opinion is, because she looks a lot happier than most of the nurses that I see. But I want to give you both sides, and she's giving you both sides because she's also sharing with you how depressed she was. And imagine that your nurse is coming in and she is physically, mentally, and spiritually unwell. How is she supposed to give good care? How is your nurse supposed to take care of you? It's no wonder patients aren't getting the care they need.
If you're thinking about quitting nursing, before you quit, try California first. Give it a try, because I promise you, your work environment makes such a huge difference. And honestly, sometimes just your environment. Like I said, if you have some toxic, negative ass people that you're working with, that shit seeps into your soul. I was so happy and bubbly when I first started at that hospital. And I mean, you see how it ended. I was done. So I'm wishing and sending all you nurses out there positive vibes and just good luck, sunshine, rainbows, and I hope that your shifts are going to be awesome this week and for the rest of the month and the rest of the year.
The laws in California, they do have laws for nursing ratios. Let me know if you're from another state that does monitor that. I think all states should. I think many nurses wish in most states that they would have laws that dictate nursing ratios. I know some hospitals will tell you that they do, but then as soon as somebody calls off, all of that goes to the wayside. Let's check out the next video. All right, let's go.
3 biggest reasons that I left nursing. So 1 is work-life balance and lifestyle. 2 is because I wanted a role that had a little bit more autonomy. And 3 is, I'm going to put it to you like this. People might find this to be an unpopular opinion, but money. I just wasn't making enough money in nursing. Some people will disagree with me about the whole work-life balance thing, and this really comes down to a matter of personal preference, right? Because nurses a lot of times like the 12-hour shift lifestyle, you know, like the 3 days on, 4 days off, like that kind of thing. You get 4 days off, and that is great for a lot of people. It was not great for me, and the reason was because like I couldn't live the life that I wanted to live with like normal people because I had to work evening shift, or I had to work holidays, or I had to work weekends sometimes. So whenever people were out and about doing things, I could not join, and it felt really isolating. When it comes to autonomy, I, in my current job, basically decide what my day looks like. I have a certain amount of meetings. I can either take or accept the meetings. Maybe I might have a lighter load today because like maybe my kid's home and I want to have a little bit less meetings. I'm going to do more computer work. I have the autonomy to be able to decide that. If there are certain projects that I'm really passionate about, like I can go to my supervisor and say, hey, I'm really interested in, you know, doing work around social determinants of health. Do you have any projects that you could give me related to that? And so I have autonomy to be able to do that. When you're nursing, a lot of times you get the patients that you get, and it doesn't, you know, like you have to take care of those patients and you take care of them to the best of your ability, but like you don't have as much of a say in what your day looks like, what the flow of your day looks like. It's just kind of anyone's guess. Third, like nursing, I think pays okay, but I think nurses are severely underpaid and under-resourced. And people will say all the time, oh, you're not supposed to be in nursing for the money, da 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 da.
Okay, who doesn't go to work for the money? Let's stop right there. Not supposed to be in nursing for the money. You went to school, you spent your good money to get your nursing degree, and you expect to get paid, not overworked and underpaid. And yes, the nursing ratios that we see out here at some of these hospitals, I mean, I was going through a Reddit where a nurse was just beside herself. I think they gave her, she was on a med-surg unit and she had 12 patients. That's not doable. That is not doable. That's crazy. Not just it's not doable, it's not safe. It's not safe for the nurse and her license, and it's not safe for the patient. Okay, we're gonna listen to this next one now.
I thought maternity meant I had a job to come back to. Imagine telling your employer that you're pregnant. Everybody is so excited and happy for you, and then they tell you, yeah, you can take as much time off as you need. And you come back to work and your hours are cut. Magically, out of everybody in the facility, only you are the person that's barely working, and the nurse that was hired to cover you for your maternity leave is working all of your shifts, and you're lucky if you get 10 hours a week. So here we are in the series, part 3, on why I no longer want to be a nurse, is because you're replaceable. Now, I know some people will argue and say that that's most jobs, and maybe that's true, but that being the case, is that the type of place that you want to tie yourself to? Think about it. When you have a job, you spend most of your time at work than you do at home with your family. And this became a defining moment in my career where I started to really ask myself, are you willing to sacrifice your peace and happiness to be a nurse? And the answer was no. They replaced me at work, but they'll never replace me at home.
To all the med-surg nurses who are wondering if life outside the med-surg gets better, as a former med-surg nurse, girl, get out of the med-surg. Get out. Life is better.
New grad nurses, why all of y'all quitting? Y'all just graduated.
Okay, so I have been a nurse for 13 years, and I think I have a couple of answers for that in my perspective. I think TikTok and Instagram has made new grad nurses, think that you coming in to the nursing field and you're gonna be making six figures off the top. You think the money is just fluid. You're gonna have Chanel purses. You're gonna be riding the Benz. And the money's just gonna be hitting. Girl, it takes time to get do nurses make good money? Yes, we do. Can you make six figures as a nurse? Absolutely. You got to take into account where you live. Do you live in California? Do you live in New York? If you live in Louisiana, if you live in Alabama, baby, you making $20-something an hour. That ain't nowhere near six figures. And then also, as a new grad, you can't travel. You have to get years of experience underneath your belt. You have got to build up to that salary that you want.
That's the part they're not telling nurses, maybe. She's absolutely correct, because I think maybe a lot of new grad nurses thought they were going to start off and they were going to make big bucks. And I mean, when I started my nursing career, how much was I making? And that was a long time ago. I mean, that's almost that's 30 years ago. And I was making $14 and change for my first job. And it took a while to build up to where I am now. If you want to be a travel nurse, you have to build up. You have to get 2 to 3 years experience under your belt. I remember I had to have 2 to 3 years. And I had done home health before I actually did travel nursing. This is definitely a point. She's making a good point here. I want to hear what else she has to say.
You can get there. You can make money. You could be very successful. But nurses ain't, girl, we regular people, we middle class. Number 2 is as a nurse, you work hard. I don't know what you're thinking that you just gonna come and be cute and wear the cute scrubs, and we love our scrubs, we love our little cute little shoes, we like our cute little accessories, but nursing is a job where you work 12 hours. You have heavy patient assignments sometimes. You should have safe assignments, but it's heavy. You serve people. It is not a cush job. Nursing is not the job where you come to home and sit down and kiki and be on my phone every day. No, ma'am. You work hard. You taking care of people. Now, if you decide to go back to school and do something other than bedside, of course, but it's not an easy job. You have to be smart. Girl, it's not an easy job. Okay. Number 3, leadership. I think leadership plays a part in if people stay or if people don't stay. If you are a leader that micromanages, that is not about what you say you're going to be about, if you're not willing to go on the floor and help your nursing staff, if you are not compassionate, if you just don't care about your nurses and you view them as bodies, if you are not willing to take into account staffing ratios, listening to what they have to say at the bedside, you just become a leader and you forget all of a sudden what it's like to be a bedside nurse. That plays into effect whether a nurse will stay. If you are supporting your GN, if you are making sure that they get what they need, that they have somebody to talk to, that they're not being bullied, that you don't have, it's a lot of stuff that goes on the unit that needs to be addressed, and if it's not addressed, then what I'm staying here for.
She's absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct. The leadership. If you're just a body and they don't care about the ratios, they're not listening to their nurses, how burnout, and that's what I'm hearing, and that's what we just read from this nurse. I wouldn't tell her to leave nursing, right? I would say find somewhere else to go, but so many places, there's so many, I'm hearing so many of the same stories from nurses about how burnout they are.
I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, but y'all need to stop calling nurses or nursing students hoes. I don't know where the saying came from, like, oh, if she's a nurse, she must be a hoe, or she must not be a good person to date, or like we're just bad people, but it needs to stop. And I feel like the reason why y'all say that is because nursing is a very prominently woman-led field. In order to even become a nurse, you have to be extremely smart, because let me tell you, those nursing programs are extremely hard and are no joke. And then being a nurse is one of the most financially stable professions because we make money. A new grad nurse in New York City starts making 6 figures right out of college. So that's not even including the differentials you get for nighttime overtime shift, the differentials you get for more experience as a nurse that you make in the future. So for me, it's so crazy because like as a nurse, you go into this field genuinely wanting to be there for people at a lowest time in their life. And then we get so much hate on because people are like, oh, if you're a nurse, you're a hoe. Or if you're a nurse, you were a bully or you were a bad person. And that's not true. Don't get me wrong. There are some people that are not good people in the world. But generalizing that to all nurses is so crazy to me because you actually have to be a very good person to be a nurse. Let me tell you, those 12-hour shifts, those 8-hour shifts, they are no joke. They are extremely stressful, mentally and physically tolling. Not to mention how much hate, how much abuse, how much stress nurses have to go through on their shift. So I feel like people who be saying, oh, nurses are hoe, it's just a whole bunch of hate because y'all don't like to see women doing good in a field where we not only are very smart, but make hella money too. And I don't like all that hating. And I'm gonna hold your hand.
I love it. I love it. I'm gonna close out with that because that is something that we hear a lot of. I just heard someone on YouTube, a YouTube influencer say that nurses are ratchet. You know, that's such a raunchy comment to make about nurses, right? Like she just said, you know, not all people are good. People cheat. So ergo, some nurses cheat. Not all nurses cheat. Nurses are in a profession where they are around physicians. So sometimes when there's when they're in tight-knit communities with the physicians, you see that happen. But you see that happen in other industries. It's not just nursing. So I think that, like she said, nurses are extremely smart because the nursing program is not easy. It's not easy to get in. You have to pass a test to get into nursing school. You have to pass the nursing program, and then you have to take the NCLEX and pass the test to even gain your license. Stop putting nurses down. Let's just stop putting each other down. It's crazy to me. But yeah, I mean, nurses are stressed. I gave you a few examples here. I'm not going to go on and on and on. You get the picture. Drop me a comment. Let me know if you're leaving nursing, if you're changing from one type of nursing to another, if you know like a state where nursing is better. Like the one nurse mentioned that in California, it's a lot better. So drop a comment and let our nurses know which states you think are the best to work. And are the most supportive of nurses, and which environments you think are the best supportive for nurses. Because I find that, you know, a lot of times the med-surg units are really tough. Nurses are really tough on each other, and they do get a bad rap for being mean. Again, it's not all nurses. Some nurses can be mean, but people are mean. So that means that you're going to get some people that go into nursing who are just mean. Stay away from those people. You know, but it's kind of hard to do that if you're working with them. If you're working with someone and they're just mean, maybe it's time to go somewhere else. You know, maybe it's not a fit for you. Maybe it's not just nursing that's not a fit. It's the environment that's not a fit. I suggest if you're a new grad, try out some different things before you completely give up. I know it's rough out there. I know the to-patient ratios are crazy. The workload is crazy. Nursing is not easy. I just read to you what the nurse said on Reddit, that sometimes she doesn't even get a chance to go to the bathroom or eat. I remember working a whole 12-hour shift and looking up, and it was time to go home, and I was like finally getting ready to go to the bathroom. I had not had any water. Nurses are dehydrated. You know, we try to keep ourselves healthy, yeah. All right, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified anytime I upload a new video. Thank you for joining me on The Broken Shift. Drop your comments. Let me know what you think about this, and I will see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.